Okay, so we're working on this 96 Civic. It's got a couple codes. The main code that we're chasing right now is going to be an ELD code, which is p1298. So that code has to do with this guy, but in order to check the wiring on it, you actually have to pull the fuse box and take a look at it from underneath, but it's such a pain to do. But before you do this, the first thing that you really want to check is the fuse. There's a fuse on the inside. It's numbered fuse 15. It's a 7.5 inch or 7.5 amp fuse. So the first things first, you want to check for fuse 15. So fuse 15 is this one right here, if I can get it to focus. And so as you can see, it's numbered right here. So we replaced the fuse, keyed it on, and it blew instantly. So that tells us that this wire here is grounded. So right now I have a new fuse in it, but I have not keyed it on. And so as you can see, there's ground on both sides, and that's how it should be. Anything that's powered, when it does not have power flowing to it, it should instantly ground out. So I just did this to basically show you that this fuse is good. So the next step is actually, that tells us that there's an issue with the wiring that's from this ELD to the interior fuse box. Here is the ELD disconnected, and what we're going to do is we're going to want the black and white wire, should be pin 1, should be this one right here. So with the ignition off and the headlights off, we're going to measure this pin, black and white, to ground, and we should have 12 volt power. Okay, so with the pin 1 to battery ground, we do not have 12 volt power, so that says that there's an issue between that wire to the dash. However, we're also going to move to the next step. The next step is checking the center wire to ground to make sure it's got a ground. So a quick check here, center pin, and we've got it to ground. We've got the multimeter to check for continuity. Obviously it's beeping, so we've got continuity there. So we've got to chase this first wire here to the inside of the car to see where it's broken at. So the first thing that you want to look for is fuse 15, which is this one right here. And so we checked this earlier and it was blown. So we put another fuse in it and we keyed it on and it blew again. So now that we know that the fuse is blown, there is a service bulletin here, and it's 99-029, and that actually talks about this harness here further up. So there's a bracket here that needs to be removed altogether, and what happens is the harness rubs on that bracket. The thing is, looking at this car, touching my hand down there, that bracket is still there. So it seems to me that the service bulletin was never done. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and perform that, and the first step would be, again, removing that bracket first. Okay, so here's the bracket removed, and the connector that we're after is what Honda calls C15, which is actually this one here. And as I pulled it out, check this out. Splitting the wire. That little bit right there has worn through the insulation, and as far as I can tell, that seems to be the only one, but there's our short right there. This little wire, most likely. Okay, so we found that little short, and what we're going to do now is we're just going to key it on, and if everything goes well, just like the Integra, we'll have our charge light back. Bam. Okay, so charge light is working. We're going to check this fuse down here. All right, so another complaint that the customer had was the speedometer wasn't working. So come to find out that that fuse is also part of the speedometer. So as you see, speedo is working, and there's no hesitation. That was actually the complaint that she had, was the car would like randomly hesitate, which makes sense if the ELD is not working. The ELD turns the alternator on and off for fuel economy. So maybe it just got to the point where it would not charge, perhaps. I'm not really too sure. But right now it seems fine, and of course, as you can see, the speedometer is working, so she's probably going to be happy to hear that. She also had an O2 sensor code. Now, I don't know if that's going to be part of it or not. Potentially that it is. So what we're going to do is we will take it on our test drive, and we will check codes and see if we get any more. Okay, so we're back at the shop. We're going to check for codes. Right now it says 0. We're going to see just to see if there's any pending codes. If everything goes well, bam, no more fault codes. So it seems like it fixed all her problems, was that little short.